Well, hello everybody. As you can tell, I have a little extra guest with me today. I actually invited Katie to be a part of this if she wanted to, but she is always off doing her own thing, usually reading and drawing. So, but Nellie is mommy's little shadow, and so she wanted to be with me today. Can you tell everybody hi? Yeah. Tell them, how old are you now?
4.
How old?
4.
Oh my gosh, you're 4. I forgot about that. Nellie just had a birthday, so if you followed her story, this is our first little snowflake baby, right? Yeah, from our first embryo adoption. But I just wanted to take a minute to share a little bit of the behind the scenes with this embryo adoption. So just so that you can kind of see how God has orchestrated things and how unbelievably good God is. So as you've seen in my posts, my most recent post, I had a transfer last year and I had a miscarriage, but God is so good that during that time He was already orchestrating something else, and it's kind of like that beauty from ashes. It was actually October 9th. So I had my miscarriage in late September, and October 9th was the beginning of this embryo adoption process. Through a friend of a friend, God connected me and the genetic family, and she reached out, we started talking, and basically, long story short, she began to tell us kind of their story, where they were at, and about them and their embryos, and that they were looking for a family for these embryos. I was still grieving and healing, dealing with everything with my dad, him being in the hospital, and, his passing and all those things. But God was connecting us in a special way and doing something new, that although I know the process and I knew what I was getting myself into, to be able to look back now a year later and see that in the midst of a dark time or a hard time, God was he was being, He's always faithful, and He was being faithful to what He had promised us. So with Nellie's embryo adoption, we went through Nightlight. And it was a different process, because although we have open communication with her genetic family, and we send emails and pictures and kind of just update each other, but it was a different process. Things were taken care of for us, and there wasn't a lot of the in-between legal, administrative kind of stuff. But this time around was completely different, because we matched privately. And so we came into our agreements privately and kind of handled all the legal and all the administrative and all the process itself privately. So it was different. And I say all that so that you'll understand what's been going on probably the past 6 months. Sorry, I have a visitor coming in, and I actually asked them to wait until I was done before they came and just distracted me, because mommy's brain cannot handle that. But go ahead and show them. What have you been working on?
Look, argue.
That is beautiful. I love it. Good job. And she's gone. In April, I think it was April, we signed all the agreements and everything. So as of April, we were legally, officially, the embryos were ours. And we had tried our very best to go through the clinic that I've used the past 2 times. However, due to their equipment not being what was required for the embryos, and some other policies that kind of were different this time around, they were unable to accept the embryos. And this was really hard for me, because I had 2 transfers with them. Like, I had really built a relationship with a lot of the nurses and the staff there, and just felt safe. And so then we kind of went back to square one and thought, okay, well, we'll do the transfer at the clinic where the embryos were being stored. It just never felt right. We were hitting brick walls everywhere we turned, and our agreement was not being honored. our contract not being honored. So the past, let's see, it is November. So really like 6 months, we had been fighting with this clinic to get access to our embryos, to have our embryos shipped to move forward in this process. We found a clinic in North Carolina that's actually in Raleigh as well, where my prior clinic was. And so we were ready to move forward months ago, but we've been struggling with this clinic and having just a really hard time with this clinic. Fast forward to a couple weeks ago, it's probably been about a month now, maybe 3 weeks. We got the green light from the clinic just kind of out of nowhere. I mean, God had divinely put somebody us in contact with somebody at this clinic, and she just turned things around. I mean, she was just an answer to prayers. And so then kind of a little bit unexpectedly, because we had been having so much trouble, about 3 weeks ago, we got the green light to ship our embryos. And that was a victorious, momentous day. I cried and I was very emotional that this journey that we've been on for the past year, we were finally going to be able to move forward and make it felt just so stuck this past year. We, as you know, shipped our embryos last week, and they are now at our clinic. So for anybody that's curious about the not a saline ultrasound, a saline sonogram. They basically just kind of run dye through your reproductive system, make sure everything's flowing and moving, there's no issues. And then we just finished our infectious disease panel. They actually require both Mike and I to go through that, even though he's not medically involved. They don't want him passing anything to me and the baby, so we both got that completed. And so our next step, of course, will be doing the saline sonogram. And on the 29th of November, we will be having our nurse consultation to actually have our transfer date set. So that's kind of the timeline of things. That's kind of where we stand. We are very excited to move forward, and it's just a good time. It's going to be a very sweet time with my girls to enjoy. Just mommy being mommy and not being pregnant, or not having to be pulled on in 3 different directions. And so we are very excited, but we're also soaking in this time and getting lots of good cuddles. And so we just appreciate your continued prayers and support on this journey. It's definitely exciting, and it's always definitely a process, a journey of trusting the Lord, and trusting that He sees ahead, and He knows, and He's already worked things out, and that He knows what's the very best for us. And so we just appreciate you guys being on this journey with us, and we will keep you guys updated. Do you want to say anything else? No? You want to say bye to everybody?